You know, 1,000th game here for FAKER, and technically the first game for Smash in the LCK regular season. And immediately we're going to start off with the two most broken AD carries that get banned away pretty much every game. Varus and Kalista. Talia also taken off the board. A very strong BDD champion. The other one would be Azir, but that's also banned, so giving potential hope for FAKER to continue to catch up to Azir.
Yeah, and for him to potentially play another unique champion on game 1000. Final ban here for T1 will be the Jace. Take that away from casting. BDD's Talia, I think, is a wise ban. He has been very good at it, and he has been so important for KT ROLSTER. And they take the Azir away, so both of those very commonly played mid lane champions in game 1 are gone. Gwen taken away from Doran, and this means that Vi is left up, and Owner will snap that one in. Pretty simple start here to our telecom war in terms of the bans.
Yeah.
Very basic pick.
I feel like if you don't ban Gwen, Doran plays Gwen, but then you have Rumble. So I feel like they had a good answer to it, but they just did not want to see Gwen by any means. And that unfortunately leaves the Vi available for T1, whereas you could have potentially gone like, you know, the Rumble and the Vi.
Yeah.
If you leave the Gwen available. I don't know if T1 would have fallen into that trap, but they're still going to take the Rumble.
That's what I would have expected, to be honest. Yeah, that they would play Rumble Vi into the Gwen and feel very good about it. Strong combo. Podek will deny Smash from what is already a pretty iconic pick for him in the Ezreal. No Varus available, no Kalista. Kaisa, however, one of those picks, and people are saying Smash Pilot's better than Guma. We've seen a lot from him. Is likely to be the lock-in here in response. Works well with the Vi in terms of the dive setup this comp is already starting to come with. We knew it was going to be Ahri. I mean, it's one of the most broken builds right now.
What if he uses his skin?
He might. A thousandth game?
1000th game, you know? This kind of has that vibe, you know?
I feel like FAKER.
I don't think he will, but
FAKER has a skin for Ahri, right? The famous one.
Yeah.
But his skin for Ahri is no skin, and I think he'll be using that one. But we'll see. We'll see, Valdez.
Yeah.
Today could be the day, as Xin Zhao will get locked in. So it's going to give you a little bit more frontline for your Ezreal, for your Rumble here. And in general, pretty robust composition on both sides here. A little bit more of a theme, though, I would say, for T1s.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think the Xin Zhao just generally strong, but also good at disengaging and creating a lot of space. You know, like if they try to dive a backline, you got Xin Zhao in the right spot. He can potentially save your carries. He can also go forward, obviously. And Besta going to be banned away here. KT already have their top laner, so Doran going to be targeted just a bit in terms of what he can play into the Rumble. The Silas also banned away from BDD, who hasn't picked his champion yet.
Will be another ban to go over potentially to Doran here in this spot, unless they want to go for a support ban instead towards Keria, which would just give us a hint of what Podek is likely looking to try to play here. Okay, will be the Rakan.
Yeah, Rakan just
sorry,
get
Peter,
banned.
excuse me.
Yeah, Podek and Peter. I mean, there's the alliteration. It's kind of difficult to distinguish between the two. But yeah, Rakan does get banned away, so only that Mbessa target towards Doran.
The Rakan ban doesn't really give me too many hints as to what they want to pair with this Ezreal just yet.
The Poppy ban is 100%.
Yeah, that's
what you got to go for.
Yeah, that seems pretty obvious here. Could just play Leona, but it doesn't necessarily work very well with their comp. It's very strong with Ezreal, and we saw that work out very well for Kellen in the lane in our previous series, but looking for an Alistar here potentially instead, which Peter has had some, you know, aggressive plays on already here in LCK 2025. Keria going to give a little bit of a hover on that Pantheon as we wait to see what that top lane matchup is going to be. Interesting to maybe potentially give Doran the Galio counter pick here to the Rumble. We've seen this one before.
Yeah, we've also seen it banned when the Red Side team had Rumble. Hololive Esports did that just yesterday against TNF.
Nico is something that Keria has a lot of experience playing in the past and gives you a ton of engage opportunities. Works extremely well with the Galio too. But it looks like he's going back to that Pantheon.
It's great in lane as well against the Alistar, but It's not quite Callista with the Nico, so thinking about some more
Gragas.
straightforward engage.
This is leaving the Galio support opportunity there as well, potentially. Quite rare to see, but so is the Gragas these days in the support position.
Could happen, you know.
As Corki will be, it looks like, what BDD wants to lock here in the mid lane to face off against this Ahri. Can be a very volatile matchup, as we mentioned in the previous series. We did see it. BDD confident he can get it done against one of FAKER's best and one of the strongest mid lane champions right now in the meta.
And the Ezreal as well. To give them credit, I think there are some picks on the side of KT that can deal with this, but you called it early on. I think it's just a more comprehensive, straightforward draft from T1. It has a identity. You know what it's going to do. It's going to dive that back line. We'll see just how well they can do it as we're getting ready for the first game of the Telecom War right now.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Alrighty, game number 1. All eyes on that bottom lane, for sure. FAKER is not using his skin, which is not a big surprise. I thought, you know, I gave it like a little, maybe 1-2% chance that maybe he would throw it in there. Just a very special occasion for the 1000th game, but we all know that FAKER's not like that. He's had other very special moments and also hasn't used skins, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's in one way, it almost feels like his skin is like his merch, you know? Like, he's not necessarily wearing his own merch, but like, if you want to support him, you can get that, or you could have. And now FAKER is just, he is wearing his skin, which is like, I'm so iconic that the normal Ahri skin is associated with me. So, looking forward to seeing how this matchup shakes up. Product did go cleanse, which is what you'd expect, but it isn't going to be a great combat spell for him in lane. And he knows that there's so much CC in this composition for T1, and it all layers well with the initial setup for the Vi. Vi is so good into Ezreal and Corki because while they both have mobility, once Vi channels that ultimate, you're going to land on them, you're going to lock them down no matter what.
Yeah. Saw Keria hovering the Nico. Thought maybe he would like to play it into the Alistair, but you know, if you start channeling that Nico ult and Peter's quick on the trigger, you can just headbutt it away. It feels like, you know, there's a lot of potential counterplay for that Nico. And the Gragas with the cask is just going to add a lot of extra chaos into the backlines, into the team fights. You know, potentially knocking away the Alistair, knocking away the Xinjiao, so they cannot create that space. You know, we know that Keria can play pretty much anything, so I'm excited to see his Gragas as well.
Yeah, he's just a player who has so many different skill sets as a support. You know, he will play marksman, he will play enchanters, and he will just play the unusual. And sometimes when you see Keria pick a champ, you're not even 100% sure it's the right angle for it.
Yeah.
He will pull it off, with the exception of that one Ezreal support game that Keria fans don't bring up too often. But besides that, in recent memory, hasn't really missed the mark.
I remember a Lee Sin game.
Yeah.
It happens. He's played all sorts of stuff. But today it's just good old Graggy. And so far, the lane is going pretty well for them. It does look like T1's bottom lane has the push. Excited to see how Product deals with all this pressure himself. Coming back into the LCK. It must be very difficult mentally to, you know, bounce back and forth between the leagues. It feels like you're on the cusp of being a main starter all the time, and then you just kind of get knocked down.
Imagine, you know, all the scrims and all the training that you do with the Challenger squad, how much synergy you built up there, you're trying to continue to build up with so many roster shuffles and changes where Peter's taken away from you. Okay, you're back with him now. And then just jumping in late into scrims, and BDD is like, we don't do like that here, by the way. You know, what you're doing, like, you need to do this our way, for example. Or Cuz is like, you know, you might get that kind of attention for your jungler and challengers, but like, I play through BDD here, by the way. So don't expect too much help. I'm not saying that type of thing happens, because that's not really how scrims and comps work, but Keria.
Oh, wow. Very nice headbutt reaction from Peter, by the way. That could have gone pretty dangerous. Keria had the angle, but at the end of the day, it's just him down a flash, no Hex flash as well. So now you're just kind of a sitting duck on the Gragas. Although he's not a duck.
No, not quite. But I feel like if Keria were a duck, he would not be an ugly duckling.
That's true. We don't have any duck champions, do we? There isn't any obvious one that I'm missing out. Like, we have bird champions, obviously.
Yeah. We have a pod duck.
That's true. He's playing against Podok.
Maybe that's where sitting duck came to your mind.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Subconsciously. As Smash is really being put under the magnifying glass here in this laning phase, but Keria being down flash in this lane. The counter pick Kai'Sa hasn't been able to generate any advantages here, but it's not in lane really where Kai'Sa ends up being the big counter to Ezreal. It's just getting on top of him later on in team fights because of her burst and her ability to just follow him with killer instinct, even if he tries to get away, can be deadly. So it's been a pretty successful counter pick, very common counter pick in the LCK.
Unfortunately, current LCK has a lot of just passivity early on.
Yeah.
We saw that change a little bit in our first series. I don't think that's quite the norm that we're going to see in the LCK, with a lot of trades on objectives and crazy skirmishes early on.
So, faster swap here for Podok and Peter. See a teleport from Doran, and then he instantly walks up to mid after clearing the wave. So he teleports down, clears, and now can be a relevant factor with his ultimate, actually, in this fight. Potentially, T1 are sticking it.
Yeah, I mean, this is 5v4 if KT want to take the fight. So I don't think we want to take the fight by any means.
Really cool play, though, from T1.
Threw up the Fnatic sign, did Smash. Little shout out to his old brother Reckless.
Yeah, he's done that a few times. I love to see some Reckless enjoyers.
Oh!
Close.
That was pretty close. Nice charm there from Faker. They're not going to go in on it. I think T1 have a pretty clear call here, which is we're going to get all the grubs, and Doran, you know, he might have to drop some CS, but he's still 10 CS ahead,
yeah,
so
he
who cares?
Only dropped like half of that wave, it looked like, too.
Yeah.
So this ended up being, you know, a tempo play from KT. I don't want to say it backfired, but it was just a really good answer from T1. They put Podok Peter up there, wanted to get grub control, but were unable to do so. And it's overheated.
I mean, he keeps going in very close to Justice Punch range. And, I mean, Doran just has, you know, little MR cloak for now, but he's still able to take good trades just with his base ability against the Rumble with his magic shield and stuff like that. And here comes Faker, thinking about it, reconsidering. Moving back to the mid lane.
Grabbing some mana. Speeding up with the Foxfire. Head over. Well, it's, you know, a quiet game, but there was some macro moves made. T1 currently 3 grubs to 0, though, off of the Doran TP rotation. He wasn't there, but the fact that he could have been really deterred KT from fighting. Only one small lead for BDD, which is, I feel like I've said that every KT game I've watched this entire year. But that's really it. I mean, it's 11 CS his advantage. Otherwise, small advantage generated across the board here for T1. I guess with the exception of the bottom AD carry.
If you've ever watched Faker's first-person view, he's just zooming all over the map. He's looking at every single lane. He wants to know exactly what's going on. Perhaps dropping some CS because of that. And Corky, one of the better CSers in the game. But yeah, just a pretty natural lead, and all credit over to BDD for creating that. Took some good early trades as well up against Faker.
Yeah, even though it's his 1,000th game, and I did some hard glazing earlier. His early laning phases have not been very impressive thus far this tournament, but has had some amazing team fights and some great back row reads. And this kind of gold lead will matter less and less as the game goes on. For BD, that is to say. As a bit of a supportal combat situation again here.
These supports actually do a bit of damage. Owner is here, but that would be not a good idea. We've seen Koshik attempt that angle. where the guy just flashes under the turret and the Vi just dies. In this case, it would be a little bit different because you've got a Kaisa potentially to join, but...
If Podok was further out, then there was definitely a potential angle there, but now they're just going to kind of try to zone him off of farm here and grab some plate gold. With an Alistair, there might have been a world where he could have actually stuck it under turret there and said, come at me, but just not going to risk it. But as a result, there's going to be a lot of lost farm here and lost experience as well.
Well, he's just flashed on in and flash. There it is from Carry. Amazing engage, and they just did not respect that. They had a ward. They saw that Owner was still there, and that T1 were still looking, but no respect shown from Peter. Not able to flash and react on time.
And the irony is that out there's no turret to protect you. Didn't stay under the turret to farm, and now Owner over here with ult.
There's no charm, but they might just have enough damage. Yes, they absolutely do. Owner didn't have to use his ult top, so he just comes to mid, takes down BDD.
Now the lead here in the bottom lane has ballooned quite substantially with all that lost farm, with a kill going over to Smash as well. 800 gold up. And here you're away from the farm, right? But you're too far away from the turret, trying to sweep these wards out.
Was he like one ward away from level 6 or something? Because I feel like that would be the only excuse I can give to Peter.
I think that might have been the case. I'm not actually 100% sure, but we'll get a... No, he won't.
No, I don't think so. Oh, Smash is just ganking bot. Casting is 100% dead. Like 1,000% dead, maybe. Really, the question is who's going to get the kill, and it will be Smash eventually here as he gets it. Does drop 3 CS. I think he's fine with that. Meanwhile, KT are going to take the grubs in the top lane, but the gigantic gold lead, at least for this point in the game, 2,000 gold already, does go over to T1.
Yeah, and it's BDD Stripe. That's all you got.
And it's a tiny stripe.
Yeah, it's 135.
It's like a speck. It might even be a dot.
It might be a dot.
It's like the beginning of the line, but it's not really.
And it's fading as Faker picks
30
plate
gold.
Yeah.
That dot is struggling.
Yeah, that dot is pinhead-sized at the moment. As in this lane matchup here, where casting returns, it's hard to actually get kill pressure on a Galio. And as you can see, Doran is just like, okay, if you want to fight me, we'll go.
You're just never going to kill him. And guess who's here?
Yeah, and he just TP'd back in. And now he's pushed out and maybe dead.
Casting has flash. There's no ult here for Owner. But maybe he just runs under turret. But the burst is coming through, and that was incredibly close. Casting, credit to him. He doesn't flash. He keeps his cool. But it's still not a good situation.
And he can't clear the whole wave. Doran will get a plate at least. As over here, Peter looking for something.
Yeah. And carry every single time Peter tries to go in, he just puts his belly on him, The Faker misses the charm, so nothing going to happen there. Owner did have his ult, but they don't have vision of that brush, so not going to push the issue.
Owner here, helping to clear out some of that vision that KT set up, but there's just no real angle in anymore here. It was a nice try by KT to try to potentially find a cross map, but they just don't have the setup for it. These two item spiking champions are not the best at following up on a lone Alistair in the jungle, unfortunately for them. And the lead that T1 have generated already is so huge at 13 minutes. I mean, 2,000 gold, if you're talking about it at 25 or 30 minutes in, you're like, well, it still feels like it's a decent chance for KT. It may get bigger and bigger as we move into some of these objective fights. If KT fight over this Chemtech Dragon, for example, and end up losing out, this Kaisa is just going to be too big to fail. The Ahri actually not going for Rod of Ages, by the way. Quite rare to see the Malignants.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think every single Ahri has gone for the Rod of Ages build up until this point. So Faker, he is doing something special. I'm just not sure it's the right thing, as the ult is going to go in on a Podok, and there's the follow-up. It's as easy as that. You press your R, and even Israel can't do anything, as Peter also is going to die. Smash now 3-0, Owner 2-0-2.
And that's the kind of counter to Ezreal moment that I was talking about earlier, where you killer instinct and there's just no getting away. It's not about the Kai'Sa versus Ezreal level 3 in the 2v2. It's about moments like this that Smash creates with some help from his friends, and this should be the turret going over here. They already have Feats of Warfare, so this will be Feats of Strength as it falls. T1 feel like they couldn't be more ahead, and the only thing they're missing is that one dragon. And
the 3 grubs, don't forget.
Oh, true. That's
KT got the consolation 3 grubs as their team was dying. Don't forget that one.
You're right. Sorry, my bad. I'm out here glazing again. Caught me glazing.
Can't help it.
You didn't get that.
Smash goes in first. Owner is here. And that's what I was talking about with, you know, the Corki and the Ezreal, is that Vi doesn't care about your mobility. She just follows you. FAKER may...
He's got Flash and one more Spirit Rush, and he also has Charm. He's going to try to hold on to the Flash. It's going to bite him in the butt as Peter does follow Flash, and he just dies. Meanwhile, T1 up in the top lane are just bullying casting once again. They're doing a great job of making the rookie's life really difficult, as this guy is not getting out alive once again. It'll be 0-2. Meanwhile, they're taking the mid turret. You know, I don't think that FAKER really did that on purpose, but he's still able to have his team get a lot of wins elsewhere on the map.
It's just it's a FAKER trait, right? If FAKER dies somewhere, T1 usually gets something on the other side, in most cases, especially when you're 3,000 gold ahead. You know, it's a lot easier to make that thing happen on the other side, and the game state that we have right now, FAKER is caught, sure, but Doran gets the whole turret, delays, or rather deletes some minions by delaying the take on the turret as he does so. And they have mid prio because it's Kai'Sa into Ezreal, so they really just have control everywhere. It's a 2,000 gold lead for Smash, and Keria is lurking, and he leaves.
Yeah, he's lurking. I think Cuz spotted him with the scanner, or just with his face. Trying to engage now onto Keria. He does have his flash. He's just going to body slam over the wall instead. And the ever-looming threat of Smash's incredibly fed Kai'Sa. Even in a 3v4 situation, I think T1 would have a decent chance at this point in time.
Really feel, you know, how scared KT are to even chase down that Gragas, because they know that there is going to be a follow-up.
Well, yeah, they were scared to chase the Gragas, but they're not scared to try to force this Rift Herald.
FAKER having TP.
Yeah, I think this is a mistake. The Ezreal is just so incredibly dead. There's just no play in the game for Panak. He showed up to the LCK, he's like, I'm ready to play, and T1 said no. This Peter's gonna die too. BD is teleporting away from the fight. So he's also losing his teleport to save his life. And yeah, I mean, they got the Rift Herald, I guess. So that's it.
True. Casting's got it. Sends inventory. My favorite part of this is watch Smash, where like he's like, oh, I miscalculated. I thought I could kill him without ult. He's like, oh, I guess ult.
He's like, oh, fine. Yeah.
I mean, at least they do pick up the eye as well, because they're on the cusp of not even being able to get that. So there's, like you said, there's that one consolation prize. They got the consolation grubs. They got the consolation herald. Look at the health of the turrets in mid and top lane, though. Best case scenario, that herald might be used for some tempo on an upcoming dragon, but I just don't see any world where it's going to be threatening an actual turret. And unfortunately, the fact that the top laner holds it means that it's in kind of an awkward spot, because he's going to be in sides. Won't be able to drop it mid like you would normally want to without physically going there. So that's just an unfortunate circumstance here that KT find themselves in with that really nice team fight there. But like you were saying, the question really is, before your 2-item spikes on your 2-item spiking champions that you have 2 of with the exact same items, with T1 having a lot of prio there, why force?
Yeah, they did not have any business playing around that Rift Herald, I'll tell you that. Keria down a flash, down a body slam. FAKER here to help out as well. I think Keria probably would have gotten out anyway, but, you know, he's a supportive older brother. Gonna land the charm this time. And, I mean, we knew that T1 were favored coming into this one, but man, I said it earlier on, they're really catching KT at a bad time. Like, KT are changing up their roster in many different ways. Peter came in at the beginning, Casting came in halfway, so did Padak now. And T1, they're part of our top 4 at the very worst, but you said it, like, probably top 2. And our top of the LCK is incredibly strong, world-class. probably one of those teams will win Worlds. They are the favorites right now. We don't know which one it'll be. Maybe it'll be the one that sneaks through the qualifier again, as seems to be
that's the new trend.
The new trend of the LCK. But one of them probably will. And T1's in that class. KT right now are not. So it is quite one-sided as in goes Owner. He's got the Galio follow-up. It's not the cleanest together engage, but the taunt is going to land here onto Rumble. Casting just dies again, and the follow-up is there. They're not going to overcommit into the jungle, but they're certainly going to make their presence made after getting that kill. Nice little cast into the wall, going to force Peter into a rough spot. And now with the charm follow-up, nicely done by Faker. That means that is another kill on the board.
Anytime 2021 to 2024, T1 be doing Baron on spawn here. But now it's 2025, it doesn't spawn at 20 minutes anymore, so they won't be doing that. But, you know,
run.
7,000 gold the advantage right now at 20 minutes. Faker has to flash.
Oh. Well, it's actually KT who are getting the better of this trade. Nicely done. A smash goes in, still going to get the kill on a Cuz. Cleanly done from the young 80 carry.
And, you know, we talked about it in Kespa Cup a lot of Smash's hyper-aggressive spotting, blood in the water, these killer instinct moments. I mean, you know, I'm not intentionally trying to say it because he's playing Kai'Sa, but, like, he has that killer instinct, right? He sees these moments, he sees these angles, and that's something that I think is quite unique to him. And, you know, comparatively to Guma's more safe and incredibly consistent playstyle, he just keeps finding these moments. And, you know, we won't have the replay of him getting that one because we got to go back to live where Potic is dead. But he's the type of player who, you know, that Ezreal play he made in LCK Cup, not in Kespa Cup.
Yeah, when you said Kespa Cup, I'm like, I don't think he played in Kespa.
No, he did not. But that kind of play, we've seen him do so many times. He just is so good at finding these angles and just taking people's heads off. I mean, he's massively fed in this game, so it's not as impressive as some of the stuff we've seen from him, but I just got to shout it out because he finds these... EDD is dying a slow and painful death.
I mean, he might get Faker here. Nicely done. Gonna take him down. Faker wanted the kill. He gets punished for it. He's not too happy about that.
But it's the Faker death into Otacon, you know?
I mean, technically KT are 4v3 here, but they're not on the objective, and certainly now T1 will take the fight 3v4 as they have the Otacon buff, the incredible amount of damage that Owner is doing in the backline. That's before Smash even shows up. Potic doing his best, but his best is certainly not enough. Not at this point in the game. Triple kill for Smash, who is now 9-0, and there's still more game to play.
There certainly is. Smash, he is a very good Kai'Sa player, and he is showing everyone why.
Oh boy.
And he gets the kill here, that's 10.
I think Keria wanted that kill. I think Smash stole that one away.
It did seem like
a nice play from Keria.
Bit of a steal.
No.
This is how Potic died earlier. I mean...
You analyze this one, Wolf.
Well, Owner didn't have ult, but he didn't care that it was missing, and he had a lot of friends and does a lot of damage. This here, look at the minimap. Doran is like, Faker is up there fighting people. Otacon, by the way. Look at where the rest of KT is. They're in their base. They're lucky to have Hextech gates to get to Otacon as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to analyze this play here, whatever. BDD, good move there, but the big prize that they get is this huge objective on the other side of the map, which gives them then the withdraws that they can then use to push their advantage further. As this Rumble equalizer is what I was talking about, how you can use it kind of defensively, but it's just not enough. T1 are too big to fail, and especially Smash, man. I mean, yeah, I was like, are we really going to do it to him again?
We had the Zekali 15 kill game the other day. Can we get Smash up to that number?
I think it's going to be hard-pressed to get 15 at this point, though. The base is about to fall apart. Let's see if he can do it. I mean...
That's really the only thing I'm curious about.
What if he gets a Penta and ties Zeka and then the game ends? That'd be cool.
That could happen.
It's unlikely, but I mean... I won't count him out.
It would require KT to fight them. I think that's the last thing they want to do, but they're going to be forced to as this kill does go to Smash. Okay, there you go. There's the one. We'll see how many more he can get as Peter goes into his ult. Keria is tanking off just barely with the Galio. Nice charm here from Faker.
Can we get two?
Comes in from Flash, or from Smash rather. Oh no, Owner stole one away.
Ah!
But it's all right. The Penta is denied and Smash will get up to 13. And Peter says, well, do I go in or do I just go to the base? He's going to try his best because he's Peter. It's another kill over to Smash. 14 in his first game back. That's 23-3. T1 will absolutely just destroy KT. It was not close, not for a millisecond.